Hi, it's your coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to my latest Practice Power blog. Yes, I know for some of you, you're sitting there going, "Hey, what's with the four people and the slide up there, not me?" Basically, we just got back literally less than a day ago from Miami Beach. We hosted our I-Advisor MasterMind at the beach at the Trump. And, it was a collection of about 16, 17 financial advisors, wirehouse, independent, who have come together in our mastermind group to discuss, the future of the industry, best practices, technology, a different model, if you will. And what I thought I'd do is, for a lot of people, a lot of advisors who watch me, who listen to me, who are kind of aware of me, it's like, what is I-Advisor? What is this all about? We get that question all the time. So what I'm going to do today is not go through an entire PowerPoint e-learning. You can go get that on in practicepower.net. But what I want to do is for maybe about 5 or 10 minutes or so, kind of hit some key points, some key distinctions, if you will, on truly what our new model is. And it really is a new model for the industry. In my opinion, in our experiences, it is the most powerful model in the industry for a couple different reasons. First and foremost, it does two things for every advisor who will embrace this. First off, it will give you an opportunity to continue to grow your practice. We have clients who operate this model who grow at 25% a year over year, in what we'll call very mature businesses, right? But the other thing it does for you, it gives you balance. It gives you, what we like to call almost the concept of a mini retirement throughout the year. So you kind of get to have your cake and eat it too. And this is really the key thing. This is the only profession, the only industry that I'm aware of where you really can have your cake and eat it too, where you can, in essence, grow your revenue, have economic abundance for yourself and your family, and have time freedom. If you think about it, at the simplistic levels of success, the definition of success, what is it? Well, in my view, isn't it economic abundance and time freedom? See, what a lot of people think in most walks of life, and I think in this industry, you have to choose. You either have to grow your practice. In other words, I choose economic abundance, and I'll sacrifice time freedom, time with my family, time with my children, time pursuing my outside passions, time pursuing my bucket list. And for years, and that was conventional thinking. And back in literally this PowerPoint was done in 2009, which is literally 6 years ago. And this is when I-Advisor was literally in beta. It was a concept. It was a belief that I had, that you could find a way to grow your business, do things the way you want to the way you want to. So what I want to do today is kind of take you through it. After 6 years, what we determined is that it can be done. And not just can it be done in terms of, well, if you're independent, yeah, you can do that. Or if you're an RA, you can do that. Hey, Joe, I work at a big firm. I work at XYZ firm. It can't be done here. And that's total BS. I have clients in literally every model, wirehouse, independent, pure RIA, who can operate a version of this model successfully, doing things forward. Now, what I always talk about is, the pain of change. Our industry is going a radical transformation. We see technology coming in, we see compliance coming in, we hear terms like now robo-advisor and everything else. And, we talked about that actually in Miami Beach. What is this whole robo-advisor thing, and how much of a threat is it? And what we believe is it's not that much. If you're really focused on relationships, it's not that big of a threat at all. If you're just running money, you might have some issues down the road. But think about it. Isn't Pareto's law one of the most universal laws out there? The law of what? 80-20. So what am I saying here? If you look at realtors, if you look at other professionals, you'll find that 20% of a given profession produces 80% of that profession's income, revenue. Our space is no different. What I find after coaching for 22 years now is that you either have to have a boutique, small, we'll call lifestyle practice, or you got to build a team, an enterprise, we like to call it. Now, why is that? Because if you try to be all things to all people, it doesn't work out real well. And for a lot of you who are trying to be all things to all people, This is why your income is flatlined. This is why your practice does not grow, because you are operating like 80% of the industry. There's no variation. There's no advantage. So what we need to take a look at is, and let me say this just to be clear, I'm not trying to disparage any of the 80 percenters. You'll still make a very good living, but you're going to have to work increasingly hard and harder to continue to keep that lifestyle, that level of production. What I'm saying is that if you were to make a shift and in essence rewrite the rules, what I like to always talk about is blank canvas. And look, and I don't care if you're at a big firm. Like I said, I've got clients who have adopted this by writing their own blank canvas. And if you were to make a shift that way, what would be possible? So, again, with the time here for this, for this very quick blog post today, we're just going to go over some of the paramounts right here. So you have to ask yourself this question: how open to change am I? So, in other words, am I willing to innovate? Am I willing to innovate? Now, what we talked about in Miami Beach a couple days ago was, hey, where are we going to be 5-10 years from now as an industry? What are the characteristics that are going to be there 5 to 10 years from now? And we talked about more technology, less technology. More technology, right? What else is going to be there? More compliance, less compliance. Reality is probably more compliance. What else is going to be there? More competition, less competition. That's interesting. I think there'll be less competition in terms of human beings, because we all know as an industry, studies have shown that we're losing about 20,000 advisors a year due to death and retirement, and we're not backfilling that on a one-to-one ratio. So in terms of human beings, there'll be less competition, but in terms of true competition with technology, robo-advising, things like that, there'll actually be more competition. So you have to take a look at yourself. And I know some of you sit there and say, yeah, Joe, but my clients are a certain age and they're retiring. That's not going to bother me. What is this industry spoken about for the last decade? Right? Think about this. Transference of wealth, the next generation. So, if you've got clients in their 70s and 80s, hey, their kids are in their 50s and 60s. Their last couple of decades in business was technology driven. And think about this for a second. 10 years ago, what percentage of clients did online banking and did online travel? I don't care if you're 75, 80 years old. A lot of those people are now banking online. They're now doing their travel online. As technology gets easier, it becomes more pervasive. So you may sit there and say to yourself, hey, I got my old clients, not a big deal. That may be true. But at some point, it's going to go to the next generation. And by the way, you cannot build a business and grow a business by getting a bunch of 70 and 80-year-olds as clients over and over. I mean, that's a finite game, right? You always have to be looking down. So we've got to think about how do we innovate. If we don't innovate, what happens is we just get stuck. And then when we get stuck, what happens is, you get into what I call the scarcity mindset, where all of a sudden you're looking at your business going, man, if I could just maintain, if I could just kind of keep things going. And by the way, as an industry, that's one of the biggest challenges we have / opportunities, because you have such a large percentage of this industry that is within 10 years of retirement, that the pervasive psychology of those advisors is, guess what? Are they looking to double their business? Are they looking to grow at 20% a year? Few of them are. Most of them are, hey, let me hang on to what I got. Let me just kind of stay status quo. And I'm telling you right now, the psychology of status quo in this business is death. Because as soon as you give yourself permission to just keep it the way it is, you in your mindset, you think you're going to stop growing, you're dead professionally. So, and I said this to the group, and for those of you, obviously, we have members that listen to this blog and will watch it. I believe in the next 10 years, it'll be the easiest time to grow a practice. Here's why. Number one, most of your competition is just trying to hang on. So they're not out there pushing it. Number two, we have a lot of baby boomers retiring. Number three, a lot of advisors are going to need to have their practices bought out because they need to move on. Okay? So, and four, technology, and here's the thing about this. It eliminates one of the biggest challenges structurally we have as an industry, which is portability. You know, if you're an advisor and you live in a certain area, you want to go somewhere else or be, you know, we'll call dual locational, right? Couldn't do it 10 years ago. Maybe you couldn't do it 5 years ago, but now you can. And that's the beauty of this. What I'm saying to everybody who's listening, watching me, is the time is now. The time is now to decide how the next 5 or 10 years you want it to be. Do you want to be just kind of do marginally better? Or do you sit there and say to yourself, hey, you know what? There's a real game changer here. And if I can just shift my thought, my psychology, my mindset, my belief set in some cases, all things are possible. The challenge you have usually is nobody likes change. Or we look at change that's given to us as an obstacle, right? When you know, the latest compliance thing comes down, or you know, we have something else that's thrust on us, we tend to look at it as an obstacle, not an opportunity. And I'm telling you, there are more opportunities in today's business than ever before, if you know where to look. So let's continue on for a few more minutes. So what is I-Advisor? So basically, there are really 29 tenants. You know, so we're not going to go over all 29 today, obviously, but I want to give you a couple I think are really important. And this, by the way, this is for any business. This is like business 101. First thing, innovate. Accept change. You accept it. Look, you don't have to like it. And look, I guarantee you, I don't like some of my change that starts to find me either, right? But change is inevitable. So you might as well accept it and figure out how to adapt to it. And if you're really smart, find a way to take advantage of it. You know, one of the key distinctions between entrepreneurs that are highly successful and entrepreneurs who struggle, or in essence, succeed but then go out of business, the failure to adapt. The failure to look at not just here we are today, but where we need to be 5 years from now. You know, so think, and that's what you've got to take a look at. And some of you are so myopic, you're just trying to get through the day. Or you're trying to do your monthly production numbers, right? Or you're trying to do this. And yes, there's a beauty in being tactical. There really is beauty in it. But if you're just looking at if you're only looking 5 feet in front of you and you're trying to figure out what's down the road, man, you can smack right into a mountain or go off a cliff. And you'll never see it till it's too late because your vision's not far enough down the road. You know, I talk to clients, you know, I have a concept when I do team building. And when we talk about putting teams together and businesses and partnerships and everything like that, I call it the 100-year practice. What would happen to your decision making if you had to decide not just in the here's what's important to the business now or here's what's important to me now, but what's important over the next several decades, the 100-year practice? You would think differently. And let me just say this. I made this comment, 7 years ago. I'll make it again today. There will be more change, more innovation, faster change, faster levels of innovation, and we're seeing it. And I mentioned this to the group in Miami, and I'll mention it here in this blog. Don't you think for a second that there's not a lot of money being put into the concept of robo-advising. There's a lot of smart money trying to crack the code, trying to put together, technology and relationship. If you think about it, technology by itself will get a certain level of market share. But boy, if you can marry technology and a relationship with an advisor, that's deadly from a business perspective. So you've got to look at and understand really where we're going. And for those of you who were down in Orlando a couple months ago, when we did our 2015 business planning, what did I all challenge you with? Find more ways to continue to add value to your client relationships. Find more ways to go ahead and take that relationship to the next level. Because at the end of the day, that's the currency we have, relationship. So you've got to be willing to accept change. You've got to be willing to do that. Number two. We talk about lifestyle design now. Somebody says, what the heck is lifestyle design? I hear that sometimes. There's some crazy person, Tim Ferriss, he wrote a book about it, right? The 4-Hour Work Week. But what, in our space, being an advisor, what is lifestyle design? For those of you, and by the way, everybody here can do this. Module 1 of the business planning process. What's it called? My ideal life and lifestyle. Let me ask you this question very directly. Have you ever, or how often do you, sit and write out what your ideal life and lifestyle is? And let me take it a step further. How many of you involve your spouse, significant other, life partner into that conversation? You know, one of the byproducts that we have now, which is very interesting from my perspective, is we have more and more clients now that are doing Module 1 as a couples type process, engaging everybody. Why? Because think about this, another definition of success here, if you will. Wouldn't it be true that to create a business that throws off a lot of money, and yet your personal life is a shambles? You're having no fun. You're not enjoying yourselves. Your bank account may look pretty good, but how's the rest of your world? And I'll guarantee you right now, there's a huge difference between economic success and fulfillment. Being fulfilled, truly waking up inspired, realizing you're living the way you want to live, doing the things you want to do, that's the ultimate definition of success. Now, up until a couple of years ago, there were always compromises you had to make in any business, and even in this business. You had to be available when the markets were open. You had to be in your office because you know that's the only way you could communicate with your clients. There was a lot of reasons why it was the way it was. And then the conventional thinking was what? Well, I'm going to go to this firm. I'm going to work real hard. I'm going to build a business. I'm going to retire, I'm going to sell to somebody, or some you sit there and you realize, well, I'll change firms 2 or 3 times in my 20 or 30-year career, and I'll monetize along the way, and at some point, you know, I'll be 65, 70, and I'll be able to kick back, relax, smell the coffee. Okay, here's the problem with that. There's no guarantee you're going to make that number, as much as we all like to believe that, right? I'm sure every one of us knows somebody who, in essence, died in their prime because of accident or illness. No guarantees, right? And then also this other piece here, let's remember, you know, a certain age, even with modern medical technology, if there's some things on your bucket list you want to do, you probably are going to be better off doing them in your 40s and 50s and early 60s than in your 70s, 80s, and 90s. You know, I don't think like hiking the Andes is something that a 70-year-old wants to do. Climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, right, is something probably it should be done for very fit people, sort of in their prime. But think about that, defining what you ultimately want. Because today, guess what? You can absolutely have it. A couple more minutes and I'll let you go. Like I said, I want to give you a little primer on this. You know, I've got clients that I'm just thinking about this year in particular. Obviously, for a lot of you, it's been a terrible winter, weather-wise, temperature-wise, stuff like that. You know, we had a member come from Wisconsin, and from Michigan. It was 90-degree temperature difference between where they were and when they landed in Miami. Literally, think about that. But I also have several clients, and several clients are major firms, by the way, who have rented houses here in Florida or in Arizona or California, and literally for a month to 6 weeks, they are working remotely. You know, I've got a team in New England. Thank God, right? They got out. They got out the last several weeks. They're working down here in Florida, working remotely, doing client reviews. You know, with technology, doing their touch base calls, running their businesses from 80-degree sunny weather instead of -10 and, you know, whatever, 100 feet of snow. Big difference. Everything is possible in this business. Everything. And I want to leave you with this. If you're a member of Practice Power and you're a silver member, when you log in, you go to your dashboard, right there you'll see I-Advisor, all modules. There's actually 2 pieces here. There's what we call Advisor 2015, which obviously, you know, as we did a while ago, very valid. It's kind of the precursor, and then I-Advisor. So I really recommend you get in there and just let's not think about just making another 10 or 20% of revenue and stuff like that, and kind of wishing, you know, things were different. Everything is possible. And I think that's the message I want to leave you with today as we start off another week. Everything is possible in this industry. It's one of the purest platforms that I know for lifestyle creation. You know why? Because if you do it the way you do it, with recurring revenue, fee-based, stuff like that, it's not about driving business all the time. And here's the other piece. Unlike lawyers and doctors and dentists and I guess everybody else, well, you have to be physically located somewhere to drive revenue. So you have to see your clients, you have to see your patients, right? We can do this business from anywhere today. So if you, and I, in great examples, if you don't like where you live because the weather sucks, or it's too cost, or it's too expensive, or you've always wanted to live somewhere else, but you sit there going, man, I can never move because my clients, stuff like that. Hey, you can have a dual location business. And I have my clients that have dual locations. They winter down here in Naples, and they summer back in Chicago. And they do tremendous business, very successful. The other thing, very, very happy people. All right? So, welcome to the month of March. Also, please make sure you go ahead and create your monthly game plan. That one-page mini business plan, right? What we're going to accomplish over the next 30 days. Let's make sure we get focused on that. Have a great day. Thanks for watching and listening, and I'll be with you again very soon.